1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, welcome back to Country and Cold Cans. As always, I'm Logan sitting here with Andy and Kyle, and today we have a special guest. We have the meme man himself from Think I'll Just Stay Here and Meme. How you doing, man? Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, like I was telling you a little bit before we hit the red button and started flashing and recording on us that I've been a fan of yours for a little while, following your stuff on Instagram and Twitter, and learned about you actually from a North Carolina band called Whiskey Foxtrot. I know you're based in Kentucky, so one thing I wanted to ask you was, how in the world did you find out about a band from Winston-Salem?
I'm not sure. I think they started following me because I started promoting pretty much anybody that sent me anything. And they sent me, I guess it was when they first started releasing singles for their debut, but they released them like, almost a year ahead of time, close to it. And I don't know. They sent me a few, and then I started seeing those live videos they did. Their buddy recorded for them. And man, they jam. They jam.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And they're great. I tell everybody anytime I have the chance, I think they have the best team around them as far as their, Seth's sister, his mom. What they're doing over there especially is pretty impressive.
It really is, man. They got a lot of support, from Seth's family in particular, but they do have a good team around them, because anytime you go to any of their shows anywhere in North Carolina, they got the whole crowd with them. They're helping them unload and load things. Like, it's nice to have that support system around, especially when a band's first getting started, dropping their first LP like these guys did. And when I met them, I can't remember exactly how I met them at this point, to be honest, but I met them sometime in Raleigh in person. I think we had reached out to him on Twitter or something like that. One of Andy went, because Andy and I started this show about 2 years ago, and we had reached out to these guys because of the North Carolina connection. And I got to say, man, I was impressed. These guys drove all the way from Winston-Salem to Raleigh, which ain't like it's 1,000 miles or anything, but it ain't like it's up the road either. Because we're towards more like center to eastern part of the state. They're out towards like in the Triad area on the western part of the state more so. And they drove all the way out here just to do an interview with us. Me and Andy were like, I hope these guys know that we're just getting started too. But we appreciate them doing that.
Dude, they're the best. And they did a live stream for me whenever all this, stuff stopped, all the shows and everything. And they hopped on and did a live stream. And I just think they each bring a great element to the band. And it's, a couple of different sounds maybe mixed in. Mm-hmm. And I think, like I said, everything they do, from the videos, the live videos that their buddy shot were amazing. And just for a DIY, it's pretty awesome.
It really is. We actually, the intro to our show, because I reached out to Sam a while back, and he said that he would talk to Seth. They said they were both cool with it, but our intro to our show is actually Fulton County Night. We have a clip from that, man, and that one's such a rocker. It's probably my favorite song on the album. It reminds me of, so like me, obviously, I've been living in Raleigh, North Carolina for about 9 years. It's like I'm obviously a big American Aquarium fan as a result of that. And a good portion of their discography, like, definitely kind of has some shades of American Aquarium influence, which I really dig.
Sam's a huge American Aquarium fan too.
Yeah, he is.
It sounds like his stuff maybe goes more towards that alt country style, and then Seth just comes in and blows your head off with his guitar riffs and everything.
Oh, for sure.
So
Yeah, alt country used to be kind of it's still got a decent scene, but it used to be a bigger thing in Raleigh a little bit before my time when I was still just growing up. But I know, like, Ryan Adams, used to play this little place called the Brewery. This no longer, it's now an apartment complex, if you can believe that. But he used to play this little dive bar called the Brewery down on Hillsborough Street near the university. And it's just, then you have the backsliders. People like alt country was kind of a vibrant thing around here. And that's definitely seeped into, like, the kind of stuff I tend to lean to a little bit more. Because, like, when we kind of give you an idea, as you already might be familiar about kind of where we are a lot on the, like, the independent kind of music scene. Like, when we had Garrett and Mike on from Hippies and Cowboys, we told them, like, if you go from, like, one side is like real independent and the other side's mainstream, you got Whiskey Riff up here close to the mainstream. You have Hippies and Cowboys over here. probably as far away from the mainstream, and then country and cold cans kind of rides that middle a little bit.
Hey,
we're a little bit more alt country, a little bit more rock and roll at times than those guys are, but we definitely like appreciate, you know, the more rootsy side of the genre as well.
Yeah, for sure. And there's nothing, you know, I've never been one to trash any of that. Like, there's good stuff on mainstream radio,
right.
And you know, I know I see you guys do. I think maybe I saw you talking about Eric Church.
Yeah,
and dude, he's probably the reason I started gravitating towards better music. When I got out of high school, I bought. I'm not going to tell you the other 2 albums I bought, but I bought three albums on the same day, and his debut was one of them.
Oh yeah,
and then, you know, I just ended up not even listening to the other 2, and I love Eric Church.
Yeah,
I still do. I went to his. He did a show at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. Well, I don't know, it's the biggest one ever there, and it was pretty wild. It was wild,
dude.
Was one of those albums Luke Bryan?
no, but I'm not going to say it was a whole lot better, but I don't even, oh my God, I shouldn't even brought that up, but
about everybody was a Luke Bryan fan during that time period.
Yeah, man, look, if we're being completely honest with you, right before Andy and I had, as we like to call it, our musical awakening, which actually for me, a lot of it was Eric Church influenced as well. I mean, we listened to a lot of shitty pop country early on.
A lot of it.
Yeah. And then finally, you kind of start to hear some of the other guys. I remember when we discovered Turnpike, Troubadours, and American Aquarium, it was like, you know, my eyes were wide open at that point. It kind of set me down this rabbit hole of the Texas red dirt kind of scene that we've really gotten into.
Yeah, and it seems like Turnpike's a big one for a lot of people. I've never really gotten into them. I mean, I appreciate what they and I love the people. People freaking love them, man. Yeah. Obviously, you know that. It's ridiculous, but I've listened to them, and I get it. I don't know, for some reason it doesn't grab me. But there's here in Kentucky, I guess we had like Fifth on the Floor. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but that was Justin Wells.
Okay, yeah.
That was his band he was with, and they were more of like a Southern rock band. They did 2 or 3 albums, and so that was kind of they used to play with like Whitey Morgan when he was kind of starting out and stuff. So that was my introduction, kind of hopping into that kind of stuff. But Turnpike's a big one for a lot of people.
Yeah, it definitely was for me and Andy, because we about 2 or 3 years ago, me, Andy, and my older brother's now wife, we flew all the way out to Tulsa, Oklahoma for New Year's Eve to see Turnpike at Kane's Ballroom.
Oh, damn.
That was a sick show. Like, it's something I definitely need to get out that way a little bit more, because the live music scene out in that part of the country is a little bit more vibrant than it is around here.
Yeah, and I mean, they stay busy in Tulsa, and Kane's is somewhere I've never been and I want to go. So I'm a little jealous of that one. That's pretty badass.
Andy, tell him about that story from Kane's. That Andy's favorite thing to tell people about what to do when you go to Kane's. We were taught by the locals themselves.
Oh yeah, they sell you a 6-pack. They'll sell you a 6-pack of beer from the bar. What you do is when they give you that 6-pack, you pull one out of each one. You take your empty hole and you put it on your belt loop. And you walk around with 5 beers on each side of your waist.
Oh gosh, they're a different breed over there.
I know,
when the show starts, you ain't got to worry about going back to the bar.
That's true.
It's
I wish more venues would do that, but
yeah.
But no, it's funny you mentioned Eric Church, because I know that Kyle and me and Andy are all big Church fans. Like, he's one of those guys that, you know, before we get into a little bit more of our bread and butter and your bread and butter with, I guess, more independent music, Eric Church is one of the guys in the mainstream that has I mean, has he had some bad songs? Oh, yeah, of course. It's going to happen with people in the mainstream, but he's been pretty consistent with putting out at least some quality music, especially relative to his peers in the mainstream. Yeah. And I just got to respect the way that guy takes care of his fans, man. Like, putting on the Double Down tour, playing for almost 3 hours. It's almost Springsteen-esque. Like, you're a different animal if you're doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was when his second album came out, and man, we were tearing it up. And my now wife, I don't think she was my wife then. I don't think she was. Man, we were just talking how we couldn't believe he wasn't playing, because he wasn't played on the radio until he released the Smoke a Little Smoke. You know, they had a couple, but nothing big. And that was from that album. And we never could figure out why he wasn't played on the radio. And now he's the king of it. I mean, you still have Stapleton.
Yeah.
but I think Eric Church, I mean, he's pretty big. I don't know if they're probably 1A and 1B if I had to guess.
Yeah, I would say so.
So he's blown up. I love it. I'm happy for him. He's a good dude.
Yeah, man. So pivoting away from a North Carolina artist and more to a Kentucky artist that, he's definitely one of the bigger guys coming out of Kentucky. But I wanted to ask your opinion on this as a native of the great state of, or is it Commonwealth, right? Y'all are a Commonwealth.
Commonwealth.
Yeah, Commonwealth, Kentucky. So like one thing that I've never understood, like I understand why I like Tyler Childers, but the thing is when it comes to a lot of my friends here from North Carolina that are not really into that kind of music as much, they'll listen to some of the more independent and like red dirt, for lack of a better term, style music, and they just don't get into it. But then they hear Tyler Childers, and they'll be it'll be nothing at an NC State football game to see a group of frat guys go from Jason Aldean to White House Road back to back. And I don't understand, man. Like I love his music. I think he's fantastic, but I wanted to get your take on that. What do you think connects a lot of these people that don't like that type of music to Tyler Childers?
Yeah, I think he can't help but write the catchiest damn songs on the planet. I mean, every song he writes, he can't help it. When I went and watched him and Sturgill at Rupp Arena, I mean, the whole place was singing along. It's amazing. It blows my mind. But he does that without sacrificing his art.
Right.
Which I've kind of likened to, not on the same level yet anyway, but I think Morgan Wade is very similar to that. Yeah. I know she's from Virginia, but I just don't think they can help but write super catchy songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, people, like you said, you see a frat boy that go from, Jason Aldean or something right into White House Road, which I love that. I still love that song.
Oh yeah.
But I guess it is more, it's talks about cocaine and everything else.
Yeah.
So, people jump all over it, even though we've never been near the stuff. So
I know exactly. Like it's funny you say that because last December, or no, 2 Decembers ago now, I saw Tyler Childers at a place called the Ritz in Raleigh that only holds about just under 2,000 people, and the place was like slam packed for a show in North Carolina. And he like literally, obviously, we all know there's people in there that have had a little bit of nose candy in their lives, but I personally have never been near the stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just something about when that line comes up, everybody just starts like screaming it. And even though even though I can say I've never even seen it in real life.
Exactly. We went to a show. Oh goodness. This was, I guess, towards the era of the end of the long hair era. And that's why I got a video scanning the crowd, and everybody's acting like, people acting like they're snorting cocaine in the crowd. And they're not like, God, this is insane.
Yeah, it's funny with Tyler Childers too. Like some of my coworkers, they don't like country music at all. But then they'll play Tyler Childers, and they don't even like pop country. They're just into other stuff, which is, fair enough. But they'll play Tyler Childers, and I can't tell you how frustrating it is for me when they listen to that and they're like, this is pretty good, but I wouldn't call this country. I'm like, well, what the hell do you call it then?
Yeah, exactly. Americana.
It ain't no part of nothing.
I made a meme about that today, but I didn't share it. But yeah, I live in SEC country,
right.
So they put All Yourn on a commercial that played all the time. I don't know if you all get any of that stuff, but it played constantly. So I had friends that hate country music, anything to do with they. Of course, they just don't know it, but
right.
They love that damn song. I know that.
Oh yeah, that one's a really accessible song too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I wish more people, like I know bands I used to listen to back in the day, they would maybe make radio-friendly songs, or at least a few of them, just to support the album and get people to buy it, and then. Then you smack them in the face with all the real stuff on the back end. Even though, like I said, it doesn't matter what he writes. He wrote a song about, can I say jerking off?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I already did. He wrote a song about jerking off, and it's, I know. God,
I know. Like, and the funny, like, and then you see some of his unreleased stuff, like Wailin' on My Willie. Like he can take something, and the funny thing is that just speaks to the genius of Tyler Childers. He wrote a song about jerking off, but it's really a love song to his wife.
I know. God, they say chivalry's dead.
Exactly right. There's still some gentlemen out there in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. So it's funny, like when you say, and I'll get the other guys to hop in on this too. Like some of the stuff that we kind of lean towards a little bit more. Like one of the guys that we get why some people don't like him, but at the same time, I really am a big fan of his music out of Texas. That I think he's about to blow up. And you were talking about people that put a little bit more of a commercial spin on something at first, and then they hit you with the album. I think Parker McCollum kind of fits in that category. You know, like Pretty Heart, it's about as commercial as he says he's going to get. But like then you listen to the rest of his music, and there's still some teeth to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I was guilty of just judging the book by the cover on that one.
Right.
And I saw Garrett and Mike had him on their podcast, and I only listened to him like for the first time, like literally a few weeks ago.
Right.
And I was pretty impressed. Yeah, he's got that song that's popular on radio. Yeah. And but what he said during his interview with Mike and Garrett was, something like, I want to write Chris Knight songs and make Luke Bryan money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And I was like, damn.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. I mean, because Chris Knight's from a few miles down the road from where I'm at. So, I mean, he writes his, gritty songs. And so, yeah, I see no issue with celebrating the people that are trying their hardest to keep mainstream radio from being, I mean, it's Southern pop. Why can't we I don't know why they haven't split it up, put it somewhere. I don't know, but anyway, y'all know what it is, and it's like we should celebrate the ones that are at least trying. I love Miranda Lambert.
Yes, we do.
says the one guy on this show that's engaged. He said that mighty fervently, if you ask me.
I'm a little too aggressive.
Yeah, I'm a huge Miranda Lambert fan, man.
Yeah, I go ahead.
Andy likes her music.
Yeah, Andy loves Parker as much as I love Miranda. No, I do agree with you though. Like, I don't know if you listen to XM radio, but the highway now is just awful. I mean, it's not even. They really should. I'm surprised XM hasn't made another channel for, you could put it right there. The Red Dirt channel. You can name it whatever you wanted, but at the beginning of XM, like 10 years ago, that's where I first heard Eric Church when he, sang, put out the song Lightning. Mm-hmm. And you would never hear something like that on the highway or any of that now. I mean, and
it's basically pop radio.
It is
exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
They all sell out eventually.
They do. That's why I have high hopes, and I hope I'm not going to get let down again. But I have high hopes for Parker that he knows where his line is, and he sounds like he does, because it's like, I think he even said this on Mike and Garrett's show. He's like, look, he said, people write me off because of the way I look. He's like, the way I look at it, it's all right to look like a douchebag, just don't sing like one.
I like that. He, like I said, I was impressed. And Garrett told me to go back and listen to his first album. Yeah, I think. And I mean, it wasn't too commercial. Once again, I mean, some people just write catchy songs, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I do have to say, you really sound like Dale Earnhardt Jr. I'm sure it's just the North Carolina thing, but it keeps smacking me in the face, and it just hit me. I was like, "Yep, that's it."
Who called us?
No, you.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Hey, look, man, I'll take that as a compliment any day of the week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We just had a 3-second moment of silence on our last episode because it was 20th year anniversary of when Dale Sr. Had his accident on the track at Daytona. Mm-hmm. So we gave him 3 seconds of a moment of silence for the Intimidator.
Yep, I remember where I was. My dad called me. I'm from Owensboro, Kentucky, which is Darrell Waltrip and Michael Waltrip and the Green brothers. And I don't know if y'all like motorcycle racing, but the Hayden brothers and all these people. And so my dad kind of was in with those guys. And I don't know, so I just latched on to Dale Earnhardt when I was in like second grade, third grade maybe. So we go to Talladega every year. And yeah, man, I remember exactly where I was. And I remember he called me that next morning at my friend's house. And I was like, God dang, that was rough.
Oh, yeah.
But, and I made a post about it on my page that day, and the one thing it did do was made the sport a lot safer. You know, I mean, it just did. So it sucks still. Yeah. I mean, the sport has not been the same since then.
Yeah. It's like, I have another podcast that I do with my brother and two of our good buddies. They're all about 8 to 10 years older than me, but we have kind of like a Southern centric, like sports and Southern culture kind of podcast called Miserable and Reckless. And we interviewed, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, because he don't really have a genre that he's in. It just depends on what he's doing at the moment. But it's a guy named Sonny Ledford out of North Carolina.
I haven't.
Yeah. So the last like 5 years, so his music's been more house kind of sound of music than anything, but he started off a little bit more, a little bit rootsier in the earlier of his career. But he has one song that kind of explains how a lot of people, and I know a lot of people in North Carolina feel about racing. It says, "Hell no, I don't watch racing no more. It ain't the same since we lost Senior."
Hey, I like that. That does make me think, though. I got a guy from, here in Kentucky, Western Kentucky named Tony Lowe, and he's got a song called Earnhardt, and it's nothing directly about him, but oh man, that's one of my favorite songs. So if you get a chance,
I'll have to check that out. You said Tony Lowe?
Tony Logue, Logue. Okay,
cool. Yeah, I'll have to write that down. I'll make sure and make a note of that, because anytime there's any mention of the Intimidator, I know that North Carolinians love to hear that. So I definitely will share that with my brother and a couple of our buddies, because Dale Earnhardt was such a polarizing figure in NASCAR. You either loved him or you hated him. My older brother absolutely loved him, and my grandma could not stand the man. She was a Ford woman who was a Mark Martin fan for the longest time, and she just all the time talked about how Dale Earnhardt he raced dirty. He didn't race like you're supposed to race.
That seems to be the sentiment among those people, but oh well.
Oh yeah.
Damn, it was fun.
That's why they call him the Intimidator.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah. I'm proud to say I did get kicked out of the Intimidator track in Myrtle Beach on a go-kart track. That was fun.
I'd like to get down there. Do they still have that roller coaster down there is it the Carowin, or how do you
King's
say
Dominion?
King's Dominion.
King's Dominion's in Virginia. Myrtle Beach used to have, down in South Carolina, they used to have the Pavilion, which isn't there anymore, but they still have Family Kingdom. So that might be what you're thinking about.
I thought it was the Carowinds or something. Is that not a part of that?
That's on the North Carolina, South Carolina line, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They got an Intimidator roller coaster.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's over in Charlotte.
Yeah, closer to Charlotte.
Makes sense.
But yeah, so tell us one thing I really wanted to kind of tell you, because I always like listening to new artists. I know that like when you discover somebody good for the first time, it's hard to beat that feeling. Like I kind of wanted to get your insight on some of the people we need to pay attention to out of the Kentucky scene. Because I know, man, I got to tell you, y'all got a vibrant music scene coming out of that state.
Man, it's always been good, but it's never, I don't know if it's ever been this good. It's the past 10 years, maybe since Sturgill and Chris kind of blew up. It's like they're coming out of the woodwork everywhere. And, my favorite artist from here, I think he's the most underrated artist. You may already listen to him, I don't know, but Nicholas Jamerson.
I've heard a couple of songs and I liked what I heard.
He was in a band called Sunday Best, which maybe that'd probably be right up your alley. Like it's kind of got a cleaner sound that could be mainstreamish, but they still wrote, real sounding songs. And anyway, he broke off from there a couple of years ago, and he released an album called NJ, and it's one of my top 3 albums for sure. And I think it's Appalachian gold. That's what I tell everybody. I truly think that it's got a mix of the rock, the folk sounding stuff. It's got bits of like home video audio put into it. And it's so damn good. And anyway, he is getting back with Sunday Best. That just started. And they're throwing shows. They've got 3 sold out shows in their hometown in Eastern Kentucky coming up soon. So I'm excited to get over there and see live music again. I've seen a couple of them concerts, I guess, but damn, it's just not the same. I don't know if you've been lucky enough to see any, but
not really.
I think it's been a year to the day since the last concert I've been to.
Yeah, same here because I think it was last year, the last actual concert we went to, not just seeing like a bar band or whatever, right? Which I still enjoy that too, but like the last actual like small venue show, most of the guys like it's another polarizing guy in the Texas scene that just almost all my friends, regardless of their musical taste, kind of have latched onto this guy. But a year ago, our last concert was a Co Wetzel show actually, and I tell you that was one of the rowdiest freaking shows I've ever been to.
I see you guys talking about him quite often, and I tell people love to hate on him because he's so. I mean, he's out there, and I get 100%. It. Like he's like probably a little bit of a jock and whatever else, but like I don't necessarily listen to him. I have, but I get why people like him, especially younger people. I mean, what's not to love? He's crude as hell.
Yes.
He talks shit all the time. So I get it. And I mean, his music rocks. It's, maybe he'll do a country album. I hear he talks about doing that here and there. But
when he turns 30.
Yeah. I mean, he's just doing what like Cross Canadian Ragweed and those guys did. I mean, he's just maybe a little more edgier than they are. But yeah, wow. People love him. People love to hate him. So same that he's the intimidator of country music.
Yeah, it's funny because like his music is something about how I think it's just what's so appealing to him because like we're on the older end of his fan base. Like we're all about 27, so like we're still in his like age range, but we're on the little bit older end because he really has a heavy college crowd. And but I think that a lot of his appeal is his just I don't give a fuck attitude, Yeah. And then his shows are kind of like that. I think it's just something about when you're in that kind of rebellious early 20s kind of phase that it's something that's it makes you kind of gravitate towards it a little bit.
That's exactly what I say. I mean, it's it's not like we all didn't listen to gangster rap as suburban white kids at one point. It's like you just want to get wild and have fun. I mean, he's going to be wild and have fun. So I mean,
oh yeah.
And I'm sure his music will change as he gets older. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe one day he makes honky tonk records with steel guitar and sings about his lady leaving him and all that. So I don't know. We'll see. But enjoy the hell out of it while you can. I mean, he's wild.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And when did that was your last concert you saw? Is that what you said? Before?
Yeah, it was March 7th of 2020. It was right before. So we went on that day to that concert, and then literally a week and a half later, North Carolina went on their stay-at-home order, and everything has basically been to different varying degrees shut down for the better part of the last year. Starting to open up a little bit more, thankfully, because it just when you kind of sit at home for a few months, you start getting a little bit of cabin fever. So,
yeah, it's rough, huh? We what did you see him in North Carolina?
Yeah. So we actually saw him 3 times that year, or within that calendar year. We saw him once in Virginia Beach, saw him once in Charlotte, North Carolina, and then the last time was here. It was a hometown show for us in Raleigh, North Carolina, and that was the last one we saw before things kind of shut down.
Yeah. The last one I saw, I think it was the very end of February, was the Sturgill Tyler show.
Oh, yeah.
And that was until I was able to go to a couple of others. I went to one in, which there's actually a festival coming up. Some way there. In Laurel Cove, which is southeastern Kentucky. It might be the prettiest land there is in Appalachia. It's stunning. And they have like an amphitheater carved into the mountain pretty much. Mm-hmm. And we saw Nicholas Jamerson was supposed to play. Unfortunately, he ended up getting sick. So I guess with the COVID stuff, he backed out of it. But anyway, we saw a few local bands. It was fun. And they're actually putting on, they do a festival every year there. And the one this year, I don't know if they did a announcement on Hippies and Cowboys. Yeah. But I mean, Morgan Wade, Mike and the Moon Pies, so 49 Winchester. Do you like them?
Yeah. I like those guys a lot. I just discovered them not too long ago. I can't remember who it was that told me about them, but I really got into it because what caught my eye was they have a song called Raleigh, and obviously I've been living here for a better part of a decade now, so it's like anytime there's a hometown shout out like that, it catches my eye. So I really kind of dove into that stuff, and I tell you what, man, that song Hayes, Kansas is a straight jam.
That's the one. And that was on, they have an older version of that on, which is pretty similar, but on one of their first albums. And yes, that song jams. I love it. And, but they're getting ready to blow up. I think they got a lot of press with this latest album they released. And of course you're doing it during a pandemic, so you can't really go tour and see where you're really at, I guess. But yeah, they're doing great. And, anyway, I jumped off subject there, but, the Laurel Cove Festival. And then I went and saw Tony Logue, who I mentioned to you earlier. Him, Jason Evans. You write that name down.
Yeah.
He's from Central Kentucky.
Make some notes about these.
He's from Central Kentucky, and he and Tony Logue are both like maybe like a good mixture of Chris Knight and John Prine, at least as far as how they sing and the stuff they cover. And then Cole Chaney. Have you listened to him yet?
I've heard of him. I think I want to say it was Mike that had tweeted something about that. And okay. He's on my list of people to check out. And I don't know how you are, man, but I'm notorious for like checking out new music. But then, you know, on my commute to work, I end up falling back into the same old. And I have to like tell myself I've got to jump back into some of this other stuff so I can talk about somebody else.
It's easy to do. I know how it is. I got one playlist and I go to it all the time and I always forget to add stuff to it and all this other stuff. But Cole Chaney is the real deal. He sent me a song probably a year ago. It was the first song he ever wrote, called Coal Shooter. And he's from Appalachia and the coal region and all that. But so people want to be like, oh, he's the next Tyler Childers. And like, as far as writing, I'm going to get blasted. I think his writing, as of this point, is better than Tyler's, at least on Tyler's first album.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And he writes, I tell him he doesn't write songs, he writes epics, because they're like, 5-6 minute songs and they've got, this huge storyline, but they're super catchy. He's got a knack for that too. And he just released his first single called Ill Will Creek back a couple of weeks ago, and has an album on the way, but he's only been writing songs for a year.
Good word, man.
I'm telling you, he's legit. So that's a name you need to have written down. Like I say, he's got one single out, but he's got a Red Barn session on YouTube.
Yeah.
And he did a live stream we live streamed that Tony Logue, Jason Evans, Cole Chaney show on my show or on my page, and it's pretty badass. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to definitely check that out. Is he a young guy just starting out, or?
Yeah. I don't know if I should say how old he is, so he can continue to play in the establishment.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I have to check him out. I like the long, short story songs. That's right in my wheel. That's one of my favorite things about Turnpike.
Yeah, and he'll be right up your alley. If you just type it in the Red Barn stuff, I think all the main ones are on there, and he's going to be, I think, the next big thing.
Yeah. Hey, one thing that made me think about this, because we've had it happen to us once a while back, with like, you've got a pretty big following at this point with what you're doing, especially like on Instagram. But like when you were starting out and you were starting to kind of like give some publicity to some of these guys that people need to learn, and then like give it like 6 months, and then some of the bigger publications start picking up on it, and you're like, does it ever kind of like, you're glad to see, but at the same time you're just like, you know what, I was talking about this 6 months ago.
yes Oh my gosh, like especially with Cole, because I know I was the first one. He sent me, and probably, I'm sure his friends and stuff, that video of him singing that song, and now he's really, like, once he released the single, the whole Kentucky scene's all over him now. Right. I'm like, y'all have just been paying attention for the past year.
Yeah.
I've been posting this kid's stuff. But whatever.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. I'm super stoked for him and anybody else that I'm able to help. I mean, I don't make a damn dime off what I do. And but I appreciate people showing. The first time I ever listened to this show was whenever Whiskey Foxtrot was on here. And I heard Sam talk about, sending me stuff to put on the story and all that. And so that was, a pleasant surprise. And I appreciated that.
Yeah, man, for sure. Like I remember you sent me a message after I think it was the first or second interview we had them on. I can't remember. I told Andy, I said that might be one of the best compliments we've ever gotten on this show, because you told me, you said, "Hey man, I just listened to the interview with Whiskey Foxtrot, and I want to tell you, I have to sit through a lot of shitty interviewers when I'm listening to my favorite bands." He goes, "And you guys are definitely not shitty. I appreciate that."
I forgot about that. Yeah, I did, and I mean it. With oh my god, listening to country music podcast.
Oh gosh!
Shout out to Mike and Garrett. They suck at it. No, I told Garrett I was going to come on here and just talk shit about them the whole time. No, but it's not easy. You either find the people that are, journalists, so they think they were actual interviewers, but listening to that one, that was a pleasant surprise, because it's when conversation flows, and I guess you maybe I don't know if you had a little bit of a rapport built up with them at that point or not, but
I think that was our second interview. So I think it was our second interview with them. So I think that was, we had already like met them and hung out with them a few times. So it went a little bit easier for us. And like, I tell you, man, like that first interview you do with any artist, but especially like, I don't know how the hell we pulled this off, but our first interview we ever did 2 months into starting this thing was with Rhett Miller of Old 97s. And we still have no idea why the fuck he decided to talk to us backstage one day. And you can ask Andy. I sat there for about 15 minutes and my mind went blank and I couldn't remember how to hook up my microphone. I couldn't remember how to record. And it was just like, I was like, oh my man, he's probably thinking this is Bush League right now.
Dude, that's the difference between you and me is I would be nervous wreck knowing, like I probably wouldn't even offer to do it because I'd be so anxious about screwing up. And this page has helped me get out of that shell a little bit, but like now, like doing this podcast is not so bad because I've done it a few times with Garrett and Mike, and that's helped a little bit. That first time, dude, I was like, I'm sure my knee was bouncing up and down, and I was nervous, just for not even for any reason. Just I guess talking to people not that you don't really know yet that much, but it you got to take that step. That's just the bottom line. If you don't, then it's not going to happen. You have to take that first step, and
you definitely
you may have fumbled through it, but you took it. You got an interview with the old dude from the old 97. So that's pretty big. They're good.
I know.
People love him.
He was so nice about it, and just like he had no reason to even talk to us, but he did it. And I you can ask these two guys. These two guys, I've known them since we were like probably 5 years old, and I was nervous, and I probably sounded nervous, but at the same time, it ain't like I've ever seen a microphone that I didn't like. So I like to talk. So it was once we got into it, it started to kind of flow a little bit better.
Yeah. Hey, that's good. That's for what you're doing with interviewing artists and just your general conversation period, that you can flow on a microphone. Man, that's a nice skill to have, because I'm a good talker and I'm a good shit talker, but I don't know if I can flow, through a conversation just every time I was to do an episode or something. I don't know. But so, like I said, I did enjoy your podcast, and I've listened to it a few times since then too. So quite a few times actually. So I didn't know Garrett and Mike were on it. I was scrolling through your podcast. I was like, Garrett, why didn't you tell me you were on this podcast? He's like, dude, I think I forgot to tell you. And so I listened to that, and then I saw you, talked about it at church, co-eds, so on and so on. So I just, I went through them and listened, and you guys carry a good conversation. So it keeps you intrigued, and you're not stumbling over your words like I do all the time. So
well, we appreciate that, man, because sometimes we get off on tangents, and like I don't even know how, but like we have a guy that recurs on here. He's a big professional wrestling fan. He's a good friend of ours growing up. So he kind of comes on and almost plays a character that's just a cartoon version of himself in real life. Yeah. And because he, like I said, he's big into pro wrestling. So he kind of wanted to have more of a persona. Like we were talking about just like music and best fast food cheeseburgers. And then suddenly he starts talking a story about like eating ass and everything. And I'm just like, Lord have mercy. I was like, I better make sure I put the explicit sign beside this one.
All right. Damn it.
I know, right? It got real risque real quick.
Yeah. All right. Well, teach their own. I ain't mad at it.
But I see the was that the DDSS lawn care thing right behind
I got
you.
a few of them over here. Oh, there goes that one.
Yeah, man. So go ahead.
Well, 30 Tigers. See, I'm not going to say I leaked Sturgill's Cutting Grass Volume 1 because I did not. I picked the link up off Facebook, but I guess I had a little bit of a following. So I put it up, and everybody thought I leaked it because I had to take it down. And I don't know, 30 Tigers. I live in Owensboro, which is it's where the Bluegrass Museum and Hall of Fame is. It's like,
cool.
Minutes from where Bill Monroe's from. And so Darby from 30 Tigers messaged me and asked me if I would come meet them in Bowling Green, which is about an hour south. It's right in the middle here in Nashville, and pick up some of these and put them around and one at the Hall of Fame. So she gave me a few of them, and I put them out. People stole them pretty quick. And so I've had one, no kidding. I just took it out of my yard yesterday. So it was through the snow and everything. It was just sitting out there like DDSS lawn care through the snow and all. I have people that mow my yard, and whenever I put it up like towards the end of mowing season, and they messaged my wife and they're like, do we need to come back next year? And I was like, I would have told them to call it, but I don't know if you ever called the number. It was almost inaudible. It sounded like there was a weed eater going off. I was like,
I heard it on one of the episodes you were on with Hippies and Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
So I heard it on that episode. And that's when I saw it, I wanted to bring it up because it's funny because like if you said you heard the episode where Mike and Garrett were on here with me and Andy, like we had for about 5-10 minutes, we were talking about Sturgill Simpson. And at the time, like Sturgill was one of those guys that I appreciated what he did.
I heard that.
But I was like, it just didn't click with me for whatever reason. And it's weird that it's the Cutting Grass albums that made me kind of get it because I'm not the biggest bluegrass guy, right? But those two records were fantastic. And it finally just clicked with me with Sturgill Simpson. It's just so weird that the two albums he put out that were the least up my alley is what got me into it a little more.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's obviously there was a big buzz about it when they were coming out, and everybody was stoked. And it's a shitty year, so let's get some new music. And so maybe that was part of it. Maybe that's what you're like. All right, new music, let's dig in, and then it just hit you. But he did have the best bluegrass pickers, some of the best in the world on there. And I think you kind of see that in the final product. It was amazing. It really was. And I'm hoping they can get him to the Hall of Fame here to play a show. That would be pretty kick ass for a little. He says he's down for, gravel parking lots and Port John, all that stuff around. So see a bunch of wooks walking around in tie-dye. So I'm ready too. Hopefully.
Yeah, man. That'd be a cool show if they can get him to do that. Cause like one of the things that I really liked about those ones, they had some of the Sunday Valley songs on there. Yeah. Cause like I had heard some of those songs on YouTube a long time ago. And then I just thought it was funny that like, I guess the more casual Sturgill fans on Twitter, because like I knew his music pretty well, even if I didn't it wasn't in my regular rotation. It's just like I kept seeing people like, we got brand new songs from him. Then I went and looked at it. And I was like, well, these are not really new.
But he still kept a little bit of a country vibe to it, like because with his music, I think a lot of it is the beat of it and the groove of it. And he kept a lot of that with the bluegrass stuff. It wasn't just, they didn't just go straight forward, fast bluegrass. It still kept the rhythm and the flow of the song, which is a lot of what makes him so special, I think. Yeah. Because, you hear people say it. I don't know if you hear people say it all the time, but I do. And even towards, a few years ago, I had trouble hearing some of the things he was saying with his thick ass Kentucky accent. And I'm like, God dang. So you go look it up. You're like, oh, okay. All right. But it seems like that's even cleared up on that album. I don't know if that was intentional or not. Yeah, very, very much so. And maybe even a little bit more on this, the Sound and Fury album, which I don't know if if you care about that album or not. But
that was probably my least favorite of his records.
You know, I mean, it's probably my least favorite too, and I still really do like it. I am a Sturgill stan though, so you know what I mean. So I get it.
Yeah.
A lot of people do not like it at all. We were at the Rupp Arena show, and people just started flooding out. And I think, like, if you heard it live, like, I don't know if I guess you like Colette's or whatever, so you like rock music.
Yeah.
But live, it was pretty impressive live. And it sounded, I think, 10 times better than the album itself, because you can't hear nothing with him singing. All the vocals are bogged down and stuff. But I feel like I'm rambling now.
Hey, man, it happens. That's the beauty of a podcast. We don't have to be so radio and so dialed in on everything.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's funny you say on the Cutting Grass, bluegrass records he did, how he still kind of kept that element of country. And I think some of that, too, has to be with just how deep his voice is. As Dirk Bentley likes to joke, you know, when he sings bluegrass, like when he would, I think it was, what is it called, the Station Inn in Nashville. Yeah. He would do that. Yeah. He's like, when he sings a lot deeper. He never had that bluegrass surgery, as he says, where they sing up real high. And I think that that's probably what kind of kept Sturgill's stuff, even though it's unabashedly bluegrass, right? Mm-hmm. I think just because of how deep his voice is, it still kind of has that element of country, right in there with it.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And like you said, with the Sunday Valley stuff, I think that was a good thing for him to put those on there, because so many people haven't heard. Even, at least if they've heard some of them, a couple of them they put on there, they probably hadn't really heard, because they're hard to find.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough to have some MP3 copies anyway of all the records. But I think that was a big selling point for a lot of people, is putting some of that stuff on there, and he killed it. Changed them over to bluegrass. So
I definitely agree.
I've slowly turned my future father-in-law into a Sturgill stan. We're in the process of fixing up a house me and his daughter bought, and he had Waylon Jennings just pumping through the house. And I told the Alexa to pause, and he was like, "Now look, I'm gonna let you play something, but don't play no shit." And I put on some Sturgill, and then about 30 or 45 minutes later, he was like, "All right, I'll give you some credit. You didn't play no shit." And I think he's been listening to it, because I've showed him how to play YouTube on his phone. Yeah, he had it playing in his truck the other day, so he's slowly becoming a Sturgill stan.
And I know a lot of Sturgill fans, and maybe Sturgill himself, don't see maybe even the Waylon similarities. Mm-hmm. But that first album, the High Top Mountain album, has a lot of Waylon sounding stuff in it, to me anyway. Yeah. And so I'm sure that probably caught your future father-in-laws here.
Yeah, well, the first song I played for him was Long White Line, and that to me is one of the songs that sounds a lot like Waylon. And he was like, "Yeah, keep it playing. Let's keep it going." So,
yes, that song's got that kind of that. I don't know what it is, yes, very Waylon-esque.
Yeah, it does kind of remind you of like the 80s, like trucker music, and we have a resident trucker here. So
Andy's a truck driver.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a resident truck expert.
All right. Well, I gotta get like a semi truck driver.
Oh yeah.
Okay. There's a band called the Pink Stones. They're kind of like 60s cosmic country style, like similar to the Eagles or the Flying Burrito Brothers, people that. And they got a song called "Jesus and Peterbilt."
I might definitely have to listen to that one.
Fan or not? But
anyway. He has a Peterbilt.
Oh, there you go. That's the one you need. Then I showed that to a trucker yesterday, Kobe Langham out of Danville, Kentucky. He plays music too, but he's a trucker, and he loved it. So
I'm definitely gonna have to look that up.
I wanted to ask you. I saw you memeing about Boone County, West Virginia.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Boone County?
No. I don't think I have. I went to. I used to work for a crane company, and we had to take a big piece of, like a big tank, or like this thing to a Kingsford charcoal plant. Yeah. And it was in the mountains of West Virginia with this 100-foot long trailer going around all these turns. So I don't know for sure if I've been there, but I have obviously heard the stories and seen the documentaries.
So me and my dad do electrical work, and there was a guy that used to help us he came down like right down after all the coal mines got shut down, looking for work. And man, he actually knew Jesse from the Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. He was from Van, West Virginia, and he said everything on that show is exactly like that. And I didn't. I looked up where Owensboro is. It looks like you're on the other side of Kentucky, but Kentucky's a cool state. I didn't know if you'd ever been to Boone County, but one of my favorite TV shows is actually based in Kentucky. I don't know if you ever watched Justified.
Justified, that's
a fantastic show.
Yeah,
that is my favorite show.
Yeah, Harlan County.
I've only seen some of it, but it is one like I don't know if it's up on a streaming service right now, but when it is available,
it's on Hulu.
I will watch. It is on Hulu.
Yeah, I believe it's also on Amazon Prime.
Well, then I definitely have that, so I might have to get on there and watch it because it's actually filmed in Lexington.
Yep.
Harlan County is right outside of where I was talking about southeast Kentucky. Okay. So it's down there, and it's like beautiful mountains and stuff. Yep. So I don't know why they based it in there, but either way, yes, I've always heard great things about it, and I love things that are based in Kentucky. So
it's like a take on a modern day Western almost.
Yeah.
What I would describe it as. So
we'd be interested to hear if it's pretty accurate for Kentucky after you watch it, because us North Carolinians don't really know. We just know what's on TV. So.
I'm not going to ruin it for you. It's 100% accurate.
So what was it you said? It was Laurel Cove. There's a music, and that's in what I thought I saw Mike say something about. It was June 10th, right?
June 11th and 12th are the actual dates.
Okay.
And that's in Bell County, Kentucky. And that's right next to Harlan County. And I mean, it's a super small town. It's Pineville and Middlesboro are in that county. And I don't know how many people. They can't have that many people. It's pretty small. And anyway, they got this. It's called Pine Mountain. And then this, I told you, this amphitheater's pretty much carved into the side of it. And so they're having Morgan Wade's going to be there. Lost Dog Street Band's going to be there. Arlo McKinley. I don't know if I'm
familiar with him. Yeah.
I told you Sunday Best. That's Nicholas Jamerson's band. They're going to be there. And then it's just like, 49 Winchester. And it's just like this laundry list of local people that are like killing it, at least locally. And I'm telling you, it is, if you ever get a chance, I don't know how far, I guess you're closer to the coast, closer to the coast than, so it's probably a pretty good drive for you, but
it'd probably be I don't know how, I don't know my geography in Kentucky too well. So it would be in our best interest if we were to go, it'd probably be a flight for us.
Yeah. To Knoxville, probably.
Yeah.
Is it not?
No, it's probably,
Andy probably would know.
Well, it's like probably 6 hours.
So it's probably, which isn't too,
it's not too bad.
Not the most fun, but it's probably, it's cheaper than flying. So
yeah, because I was gonna say I saw the lineup for that. I think y'all had shared a while back, maybe last week or so, something like that. And I was like, I hadn't talked to the guys about it yet, but I was like, that would be a good. We've been saying once everything kind of opens back up a little bit more, we've been wanting to take a couple country and cold cans trips. And I think that would be an interesting and fun festival to go to, especially kind of seeing some of the folks that, like you saying, are like up and coming. And then you still got like guys like the Moon Pies who I saw them open for American Aquarium 2 years ago, man, and they are a killer live band. It's something else.
I've never gotten to see them, and I want to really bad. I didn't know anything about them until their Steak Night at the Prairie Rose album came out. And I don't know how they're not bigger. They're pretty awesome.
Really, though.
Yeah. They play that old school honky tonk music, but then they kind of not switched it up. Their last album was even, they put their balls on the table. They're like, Tyler Childers is releasing an album today. Here we go. Let's release one too. So I don't know if it was planned, but either way they did it, and they might have had, to a lot of people's ears, the better album. So yeah, I'm really excited to see those guys. And like I said, Morgan Wade, I went to Kicking It on the Creek, I guess 2019, the last one they had. And I missed her. I didn't get there till the next day, so I didn't get to see her. But that's a little festival. That's Tyler's, like, they started that festival to pay for his first album. And so it's in his, like, buddy's front yard at their house. And I mean, they still have, probably 4,000 or 5,000 people, I guess, probably close to it. And that might be the best festival I've ever been to. It's a different kind of thing. You're tucked in the Daniel Boone National Forest. And you don't have an ounce of cell phone service, which is good, but does kind of suck. And, first world problems. So, but the lineups they have there, and just everybody just, it seems like you're friends with everybody as soon as you're there. I mean, they're a hugging bunch in Estill County, Kentucky. So,
yeah, I think that'd be a fun trip, because I've been, I think I told Andy a while back that some of you guys that, like, we made connections with on Twitter, it'd be cool, one of these days, kind of like be at a festival and actually get to meet people in person, not just always on the Zoom every time, because like we all have obviously have a little bit of musical differences, but we're all pretty much on the same team when it comes to that stuff. So
for sure. And it's not, obviously Garrett and Mike are going to come down for that. And, I've kind of I pretty much joined their team where we, talk about business stuff, and I write a little bit for their website. And, we just do one big companion podcast. We just have artist after artist come on. It'd be a good time.
Oh yeah, it definitely would.
Drink a few Busch lattes.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, so we're, as is in the name, we're very music centric, but we always like to dive into some other stuff with people that we have on. And you were showing me before we started recording, you're a University of Kentucky fan, so kind of want to get into a little bit of sports talk here. It's always fun when you have guys shooting the shit on some college basketball.
Yeah, it's not the best year for Blue Bloods this year.
It really isn't.
North Carolina, Duke, us. I'm hoping we can make a run to the tournament, but I'm doing this because somebody else is already doing what I would do for Kentucky sports.
Right. Yeah.
So that's besides my family. Kentucky Wildcats it's pretty addicting thing I have going on there, and it has been for a long time. So this year has not been the most fun, but I don't remember the last time I missed a game. So, and it's probably a little bit unhealthy, but I've gotten a little bit better over the years, and I know that this music thing is going to require me to, maybe miss a game here and there. So I'm trying to work that into my head, and I'm hoping we have a good week this weekend. Yeah. And I know you said you're a Wolfpack fan too, / we're not going to talk about the other team.
Yeah, so I definitely am a Wolfpack fan now, because I graduated there about 5 years ago. So it's in my blood at this point. It's my alma mater, man. So it's like they're number one for me. The other dark blue school down the road, I grew up and I still have a soft spot in my heart for, because it was just a big part of my life for a long time. But as you're probably aware, the triangle in North Carolina of Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill, college basketball's king around here, man. So it's like, it's kind of made me chuckle a little bit to see Duke and Carolina struggle some this year, and everybody because I'm just like, now they know how it feels to be an NC State fan.
It's not the most fun, but at the same time, it's almost like it's my release. I've always used it as, so it's like my escape from whatever, my 9-to-5 job that I'm at every day. I get to come home on a Tuesday or Thursday or Saturday, whatever it is, and for 2 hours or 3 hours for football. So I'm using as that this year. I'm not talking too much shit, unfortunately. So
well, man, y'all beat us in the Gator Bowl this past year. That was a frustrating game, because Kentucky and NC State faced off on that. And there's this little running joke amongst the Wolfpack fan base thing that we like to call NC State shit. We could have the best season in the world, and little things will rear its ugly head and cause just the worst possible luck to happen to NC State athletics. And by God, man, it happened in the Gator Bowl against Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like every little, like our kicker pulled a hamstring before the game started, and he's the most accurate kicker in our school's history. And he missed 3 field goals, and we lost by like 2.
Yeah. Yeah. They, that was a fun game though. And,
It was,
you know, this year in football was, I guess it was a little bit, Kentucky football notoriously has maybe the worst luck. So piss on your bad luck. We have the worst luck ever. And I've gone through many heartbreaks watching Kentucky football, and I still love it, and I watch it just as much as basketball.
Yeah.
I grew up going to more of those games just because, you know, they were probably more affordable because,
sure.
you know, we were just okay. And so, yeah, piss on your bad luck. I'm glad, I'm glad he pulled his hand through. As long as he's okay.
Yeah, he's good. He'll be back next year. So,
all right.
but, I mean, look, it's tough for y'all, man. The SEC football is a real deal. So.
That doesn't help any. Yeah. So that us trying to be better, and we have had a few good years here recently, and we're getting better, but it's harder to do in the damn SEC. Yeah,
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah.
Logan, they play in a real football conference.
Hey, Kyle over here is a East Carolina University fan. They don't even play in a real conference. So I don't know why he likes to talk during these things.
Look, man.
Yeah.
D-Berry went to the
we beat y'all in the Liberty Bowl, I think, one year.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
I've never gotten to talk crap with Kentucky football ever. Y'all got the 2 schools.
State is the redheaded stepchild. And we're just the black sheep over here that just annoys the piss out of everybody.
Yeah.
But we actually had a kid right down the road. You know, he was never going to go. Our basketball program just doesn't even exist. It's there, but it doesn't exist. He actually went to Kentucky. He was right down the road in Greenville. Remember Bam Abadeo?
Oh my God!
He was from
Farmville. Him, dude.
Yeah, he was from Farmville, North Carolina, right down the road from there. And
he's killing it.
Yeah, he's a monster.
He just got that big contract extension. Yeah, bought his mama a house. I love it. I love it.
He's a Farmville.
We've had a few North Carolina. I mean, we had John Wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yep.
We've had a few of them, and we had one, I think, go to maybe NC State. I don't know if Sasha Clay Jones went to NC State or not.
So he transferred here, had his redshirt year here, and then he just left after his redshirt year and went somewhere else. I don't know what that was about.
I hate that for kids. Like it seems like some of those kids, maybe they shouldn't, whether or not they feel like they should have left, maybe they shouldn't have, and then they kind of end up in no man's land where they're kind of screwed going forward. And I hate that for because they're young. I did a lot of stupid stuff, but I still do. I'm getting ready to be 33 in June, and I still do a lot of stupid stuff. So
hey, don't we all, man? Hey, so Jonathan, you want to know a classic NC State conspiracy theory when it comes to Bam?
Okay. Oh, God.
So Bam was a heavy NC State lean throughout his entire recruitment until John Calipari showed up and he had his bag man drop off some money at the front door, and then he heads off to Lexington and leaves his home state.
Hey, let me tell you something. If we were paying players, they'd have busted his ass by now. They're all over his ass.
They are
every time. God dang, NC State. I'll tell you what. Y'all, is that Jim Valvano?
Yeah, Jimmy V was here.
Yeah. Y'all are longing for those days, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. We haven't won a conference championship.
Winning the championship.
Yep.
You get to see it every year, though.
You do. It's good and bad because you get to relive the glory days
every year.
Yeah. You get to relive the glory days, but it's also torment when you see what used to be from a basketball program that used to be good and then went into the wilderness in the 90s.
Yeah.
And they wanted to fire him.
Yeah, they did. They did fire, I think he stepped down.
They wanted him gone right before he won.
I used to read this book about Kentucky's old play-by-play guy, Kaywood Ledford.
Mm-hmm.
Did it for years and years. Retired after the Duke game, I guess, the 92 game.
Yeah.
And he had a bit, a little blurb in there about Jim Valvano. I guess he had talked to him. Damn it. Oh my gosh, I might have to remember it. Somebody put a dead dog on his porch. That's all I know. And because they wanted him to leave.
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna be able to finish this wonderful thing because I can't remember what it said. I swear to God, I had it. I'm gonna find it. And I'm gonna send it to you.
All right, yeah, I'd like to see that actually because
all right, yes,
that's
but it did say somebody put a dead dog on his porch, telling him to get out, or like it would be his or something like next. Yeah.
So we actually have a John Calipari story from about 2000. I want to say it was 2006. Right around the time we ended up hiring Sidney Lowe, we had an AD here that was the second worst AD we might have ever had, named Lee Fowler. Mm-hmm. And John Calipari was very interested in leaving Memphis to go to NC State because he was like, he's a competitor, man. Like, you got to respect the guy. He wanted to compete with Duke and UNC being so close. And he interviewed twice for the role. Then he met up at a pizza place on Glenwood Avenue in Raleigh with our AD. And our AD, the story goes, our AD made him pay for his own pizza. And John Calipari turned to his people and said, I knew at that moment I was not going to work for this man.
See, there's a story like that with Adolph Rupp, and Bear Bryant used to coach football at Kentucky at the same time. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to not be able to remember the exact thing. Either way, Adolph Rupp got a Cadillac, and Bear Bryant got let's just say, for instance, like a gift card. So, and that's when he decided to leave to go on to, I guess, do pretty awesome things for Alabama.
Yeah. I'd say so.
Damn it. I hate Alabama.
Well, in the interest of unity here, I think there's one thing that all four of us can agree on. That's
Louisville.
Yes, Louisville too. Yes, that too. We got them in our conference now.
They did beat. We lost in the Super Regional off some.
Yeah.
We
hate Louisville too because they're carpet bagging over to our coastal conference. But one thing I know that Kentucky fans can get on board with us is our shared hatred of the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill.
Yes.
It seems like every year we suck that we have to play them, and it's like, of course we sucked this year, and they're not that good either this year, so that's a little bit of saving grace. But and the game wasn't horrible, but yes, I hate Kentucky fans like maybe my dad's age, maybe a little younger. They really hate North Carolina.
Yeah,
because when Dean Smith was there, he'd slow the game down and play like it was the '60s. So they hate him. They're always calling into I listen to a show, Kentucky Sports Radio.
Yeah,
every day, and people still call in when we play North Carolina, and they're always bitching about Dean Smith running the four corners or whatever else he ran. So, they really hate him.
Oh yeah. Man, that's a shared hatred. Everybody around here, even if some of us are barely old enough to remember Dean at UNC, we still hate Dean Smith. So.
It's a wonderful thing. It is passed down from generation to generation. So
it is.
Dean was dirty before it was cool to be dirty.
Yeah, I know, right? That cheating scandal started under Dean Smith. I'll go to my grave on that one.
Man, they got off scot-free, didn't they?
They really did.
Yes.
So my last college basketball question I have for you, and I know that we'll probably have a disagreement on this one just because, we're all proud of our great states. So best college basketball rivalry of all time, Kentucky, Louisville, or Duke, UNC?
Well, I'm obviously going to say Kentucky, Louisville.
I expected it.
It was better when Scumbag Patino was there.
Right.
Dude, the first game we had when Calipari got here, we had John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins. Oh my God. They had a player picking a fight, and Eric Bledsoe. They had a player kind of bumping on him and trying to pick a fight with him, and they were walking by the bench. You could see it on the camera. Calipari was like, "You're fucking with the wrong guy." And then, shortly after that, Marcus Cousins got somebody on the ground, put an elbow in their face, did not get kicked out, which was awesome. And
hey, that's payback for the Leitner game, him not getting kicked out.
There you go. That's right. There you go. And dude, so I love to hate them. Man, when Duke and North Carolina play, I'm just waiting for that ceiling to collapse or that floor to open up and just swallow them all up.
Attaboy. We agree there. All right, so I would like to piggyback off that.
All right.
Is Kentucky Louisville a bigger rivalry than Auburn, Alabama?
I guess it's hard to say. I truly feel like it is.
Okay.
But because I mean, we hate each other in basketball, football. They may act like they hate each other in basketball. They don't give a shit about basketball.
No, they don't.
But they definitely do care about their football. I remember a few years ago that dude went down. I don't know if he's out. Did poison the trees?
Yeah, they poisoned in Auburn. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. I mean, that's pretty.
They're like over 100-year-old trees, and they poison them. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But so you know what? I've got a best buddy that I haven't disowned him yet, but he jumped ship from the Wildcats and went. He claims, his family's from Alabama and all. One of those guys. Yeah. So screw Alabama and everybody playing football in that state.
Exactly. We can agree on that too.
Screw their rivalry.
Yeah.
Screw them all.
Exactly. They win. Nick Saban wins too much for me to want to pull for.
God,
he's
why is he
level,
so
man.
good? I hate it. Why is he so good?
I know.
He is though. He's like the Tom Brady of freaking.
He really is. Really is.
Can't help but win.
Yep. Well, man, I got to say, we appreciate you coming on. I had a good time.
Dude, it's been a blast. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man.
Very much.
We'd love to have you back on sometime in the future. Maybe we can do another podcast here and, talk about some new artists. Hopefully Cole Chaney will have out some new music. We can dissect that a little bit.
That'll be coming on the way soon.
Good deal, man.
Just pay attention. It'll be out. And I'm telling you, he's going to blow up.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I'm going to check some of that stuff out tonight. So, and as always on Country and Cold Cans, I'm Logan sitting here with Andy and Kyle and the mean man himself, Jonathan. We appreciate it. And we will see you next time.
Thank you, guys.